So Carl writes, awesome content. Just passed my CCNA and I have a help desk background as well, but having a hard time landing a network engineering position. Any chance you could share your resume without your personal info or etc.? I feel like I'm not getting interviews for a network engineer role because of my resume. So Carl, firstly, thank you for writing in. Awesome comment. I would like to congratulate you on passing your CCNA. CCNA, in my opinion, is one of the most difficult certification exams on the market. There's just such a wide breadth that you have to understand and know in order to pass the exam. I know when I passed, it took 2 or 3 attempts. I know I definitely didn't pass on my first try, so awesome job there. Congratulations. For your second question, can I share my resume without my personal info or whatever? I've got you. I'm gonna figure out where to post that, host it, and then throw a link down in the description below. I will share that out, and then you can use that as a template. So I feel like I'm not getting interviews for a network engineering role because of my resume. So Carl, I don't know what your resume looks like. That very well may be true. If you'd like to share it out without your personal details, maybe we can go through it and see what my opinion is. I'm just one person's opinion, but I've been on both sides of the aisle. I've been a candidate for many, many years and crafted resumes and trying to get, a resume looking good. I've also been on the hiring manager side of the house for years as well. So I know what to kind of look for, what I'm interested in when I hire network engineers. So maybe that would be a good opportunity. Or maybe I'll share like some older resumes I had and just see how bad they were and how I've improved those. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my current resume. I actually need to refresh it. I've been in my position for about 1.5 years now. Right at that mark, I like to just refresh the resume, keep everything, current, make sure I highlight some of the opportunities that I've done in the current role and stuff. So this is actually a really good time for me to have this question because I need to personally do this with my details. So I'll go through it, refresh the resume with y'all, kind of show you how I take and I'm going to show you how I take old information, consolidate it, make it less important, highlight the current information and the current projects that I'm working on, as well as I kind of want to make some sort of a template for y'all. So if you can use like a copy of mine or a copy of somebody else's, but it might also help to just have like a template version. So, things like, what do I do with the objective section? Do I need one? What skills do I list out? How do I craft each one of the position titles that I have? So let's go through that as well. I'll just detail out like what I'm looking for or what I would expect as a hiring manager. What I'll touch base on as well is, yes, resumes are important. Yes, it is important for you to not just get discarded into the pile because of poor formatting or whatever. What I have found in my career and what works really well, at least personally, is the personal connection. So if you're trying to go for a job at a specific company, who do you know that works at that company, or is there a recruiter that you can find online that you can just ping directly? Just reaching out and doing those touchbacks have really gone a long way in my career. I think most, if not all, of my positions and jobs that I've gone after have either been accomplished by a personal connection or a connection of a connection that's willing to give an introduction. That does go quite a long way in how people get employed, which is that's one way. Also, what I would say is after the resume is submitted, after you've applied for the position, you've submitted your resume, follow up with the company, call them, or, find the recruiter or hiring manager online and ping them and just be like, you don't have to be creepy about it, but just say, hey, I am very interested in this position. I have applied for it on X date. Could we set an interview schedule, or is the position already filled? Because a lot of times, what I found too is online, companies will hire in batch. So they'll post a bunch of positions, they'll hire for a bunch of those positions, and then it might take them a week or two to go back through and clean out all the old job entries. So it's kind of important to reach out, touch base with the people that currently work there, just to find out if it is still an open opportunity, or are you applying for, just a zombie, a zombie role or a ghost role that no longer exists. I have found that. And even working at, everybody's busy. That's what it boils down to, is everybody's busy. And when somebody does get hired, there could be some lag between like when the position's filled and when they close out the opportunity online. So let's fire up the old machine here, and I will show you all my resume and what I currently look for, and we'll just do all that. It'll be good. So for this template and this profile, this is a very simple template that I use and I've used in the past, and I basically have taken this from. I was using another template for a while, and it just wasn't working for me. I didn't really like the way that it looked, and it wasn't clean. So what I did was I asked one of my friends who worked at Facebook to kind of just review it and change it and adjust it, and this is what I have now. I am by no means an expert at template building. There's plenty of services and companies that offer that. I'm just showing you kind of what I used and what works for me, and if it works for you, please feel free to use it as well. In this first section, we're just going to put in like a statement, a summary statement. And we're gonna say like what do you actually want to do? So I know there's a lot of objective statements out there. There's a lot of ways that you could write that. I might even play with just, for my personal resume, I might even play with using ChatGPT for a lot of this stuff, or some AI. And the whole point, though, is when somebody reads this first part, they understand like, what are your goals? What do you want to accomplish? What do you want to do? And where do you want to go in your career? In a very broad and elevator pitch kind of sense. So it doesn't have to be perfect, but what we want here is like, what do you want to do? Now, if it's a specific company position you're applying for, if it's something that is your dream job that you've always wanted, just put that in here. Be like, hey, I love your company. I would love to work here, being a software developer or being a network engineer. These are the things that I know. This is how I could contribute. However you want to phrase it. But this is like the section to do that in 3 or 4 sentences. So for mine, I have over the past 14, so I'm going to switch this to 15. Over the past 15 years, I've taken a survey of all the various positions within managing a network, including management, operations, engineering, and compliance. Within that time frame, I've developed a wide array of skills and experience that would help me fulfill this unique technical leadership opportunity. So for me, I was applying for a managing consultant position. It kind of is a culmination of all of the different things that I've done over my career. So there's a little bit of project management in there. There's a little bit of engineering in there. There's a little bit of, compliance, whatever. You get the idea. There was various things that kind of led me up to writing this, and that was the goal. That was the position I was applying for. This statement is also just generic enough that I can send this for any technical leadership position that I want. So if I wanted a software development manager position, if I wanted a program management position, whatever technical leadership position I wanted, this summary statement would work for it. So that's kind of why I used that. And then here, top strengths. This was from Strengths Finder that I did at a previous company. It really is just a way to signal to the hiring manager or to the recruiter that, hey, I've taken one of these Strengths Finder, find your best self things, and I actually got I actually did get a lot out of this one. It's a way that like it kind of signals to you how you naturally think, and then I think it's called Strengths Finder, and for me, it's like, realizing I'm a strategic achiever kind of helped me with my awareness capability to be like, am I just being ultra strategic in this decision right now? Do I need to take a breath, take a minute, and think about things? So I really did enjoy that program. So for education, that's pretty simple. I'm going to say highest first in this template here. There's some people that say, not to put the date for your school. Just to combat ageism in the workplace and the hiring practices. I can see like why you wouldn't, especially now that I'm getting older. I can see that, if I were being considered for a position and it was 20 years ago that I got it's almost 20 years ago I got my degree. I could definitely see a hiring manager start looking at that and being like, oh, is you know, maybe it's a different decision. I'm still gonna put the year though. The next with this resume and what I've done is I've just done my certifications, and my career all the way up until this point has been engineering focused. So that's why I put, and that's where my interest lied. So I wanted to be, you know, first thought of as an engineer and then thought of as everything else. So that's why I put my certifications as engineering certifications first, everything else second. And if you notice, if you look at the dates, probably these aren't in any particular order. They're in order of, I think they're in order. Nope, they're not even that. I was thinking that they were in order of like section, but it's actually in order of importance to me. So I cared that I continued my Cisco certification specialist and went for enterprise design, and that was after I did my CCNP routing and switching. So that's kind of what I wanted to show and what I wanted the hiring managers to see, like when they read top down. And then of course program management and operations, I kind of grouped these different certifications in these different levels just to showcase that I was multifaceted in different areas of interest. And the way that I actually the way that I like went about choosing these is I just went, I think when I was younger, I went and said, okay, what are the top 10 certifications that will net me over 100K per year? Let me just go get all those. And then some of these operational certifications, they were actually offered by my company. And what was nice about this was, you know, an internal auditor certification might not sound cool, but if you're talking on a project or if you have something to do with like STIG requirements for FedRAMP, for instance, you know, just the fact that you've been in an auditor's position before might net you some brownie points during the hiring process. So don't feel like you have to exclude any certification that you have, but definitely stack rank the ones that you are most proud of. That's what I would say. Interestingly enough, this PMP certification has gotten me way more mileage than all of the other certifications combined. When people outside of engineering hear that I have a PMP, when like the business end hears that I have a PMP, they're like, oh, awesome, you have a PMP. They don't care about the, you know, 10 other certifications that I have on my engineering background, but it's all in like what you know, right? Like if I'm talking to an engineering group, they don't care that I have a PMP, they care that I have engineering certifications. Which, by the way, all my Cisco certifications, I let my Cisco certifications expire this past year. So that was a funny moment for me. That was like a weird moment for me. Maybe I'll talk about that later if I haven't already talked about it. Some people also put their like certification number. I have that on my LinkedIn. I like it on my LinkedIn better just because you can click and then just go to the registrar or whatever it's called, just to check validations of certs. It just make it easier for people to follow up on that stuff. They might not honestly follow up on it, but it's good to just present that information. And then we have any additional training. So I did this showcases that, hey, I'm still actively learning stuff. I'm still interested in these types of things. So these are the additional trainings that I was in. So any other training that isn't a certification but might be related to your job or to your scope kind of goes there. There's a very good possibility I already have a video explaining my resume, but I'm getting old and I forget things. So we're just going to re-record. This is going to be an updated version 2.0 if that's the case. If you have less than 10 years of experience, I would say probably a one-page resume is fine. If you have more, that's kind of when it starts getting a little bit larger. I wouldn't be too worried about it, like page length and all that stuff. That used to matter when we had to print out our resumes and actually physically hand it to somebody. That stuff mattered. Now that everything's online, it matters less. But you also don't want to write a book because as a hiring manager, you're getting 1 and 2 page resumes all the time. If you get 12-page resume, I'm not going to read that. Like, it's just not going to happen. So I'm just going to kind of move on, and that's just being honest. So now we get down into the experience section of the resume. So what I've done here is just describe like what I've done out in the field, all the experience, the projects. So how I group this is I do. There's different ways you can group this. I tend to get promoted inside of my company before moving on to the next company. So what I like to do is start with position first and then company. If that's not the case, if you switch companies more often than you switch positions, you might want to do company then position. That's just personal preference. But I want to showcase the fact that I get into a company and then I grow within that company before leaving. I always like to give companies the benefit of the doubt, and I always like to give them more opportunities than I probably should before moving on to a different opportunity or position. And that's, to me, it's just a pain in the ass to switch companies. So I would much rather just escalate within my own before moving externally. But I also understand that, with inflation going crazy and with merit increases and raises kind of stagnating, like salaries stagnating, there's always this weirdness where the outside market at some point will just dictate that you have to leave your current company. I wish that wasn't the case. I would have loved, I would love a gold watch at 40 years at one job, but that's just not reality anymore, and so I don't pretend like it is. So we have position, then we have company. I do year to year because it doesn't matter the months. I mean, I feel like if you're switching so frequently that it matters how many months you have, like maybe stay at a company longer, or not. I don't really care. But I just put the years that I was there. So if I was, 1 year or less, you just put 2020 to 2020. If it's multiple years, and I don't know why I said 2020 because it's 2023, but maybe because I read it. But if you're switching, it you get the point. The way I like to describe my positions at each one of these companies is I like to put one to three, ish sentences around what is the position, what did I do on just a generic day to day, and then underneath that, what are like three or four impact statements for each one of these positions. So, as an example, like I devise strategic agile solutions using network automation or focused around network engineering, architecture, and risk. So that was my last position that I did before my current company. So after that, I just wrote out basically what I actually did. So I'll share a little bit on how to like make these better. And I'm actually reading these right now, and I'm like, oh, they weren't as good as they could have been. So what we'll do is kind of refactor for the new job. We'll refactor like what actually happened. But that's what we do is we kind of come in here and we say, okay, I built several modules for automated assistance in fleet management, operations, and compliance, experience working in CI/CD tools, including Git and Jenkins, created continuous compliance models for like our compliance initiatives, and then I was a technical expert in pre-sales, post-sales, and vendor and continuous improvement consultations. So that was just showcasing like I have consulting experience, I have compliance experience, running continuous models, automation experience, working with frameworks. I really wanted to showcase all that, but really your resume is just to get your foot in the door. That's all it's for. It's just to start the conversation and pique the person's interest on whether or not they want to talk to you. As long as you get the first interview off of your resume, it's done its job. And then it is on you in that conversation and in those interviews to kind of flush out and fully explain what are these things that you did and how did it help those companies. So that's kind of like the way that I phrase it. Is like you give it a little teaser on like what it is that you did or accomplished, and then that leads into the conversation so then you can fully explain what you've done. And finally, we come to the affiliation section. So any organizations you've been a part of, anything that you're proud of, if you volunteered a lot, like this is kind of the section to show off your personality a little bit outside of the workplace. It's very small. I only included 3 sentences, but within these 3 sentences, you can say like, I love to volunteer and I like to do that kind of stuff. I was also part of an emerging leadership program, so it showcases like, oh, I want to be a leader, you know. So it just kind of signals to everybody like, where's your head at, and like, what do you do, like, what do you like to do outside of the workplace? Gives it a little, not outside of the workplace because this is all work related, but kind of gives a little flavor to like, who are you out also. So this is the template. It really just kind of describes, it's very simple in its format, describes what is relevant, what is important, doesn't really, it's not really flashy, which I like, but it also does provide a little bit of color. And then it very simply describes like, what have you done previously? What are you looking to currently do? And how can you help the company? That's really all a resume is for. And then once you get the interview, it is totally on you to shine and impress and kind of continue that conversation. What might be beneficial too is I actually need to update and improve my resume. So I'm just going to go through it real quick, refresh some things, and I'll talk through if I change anything, why am I changing it, and maybe that'll be helpful as well. We have our summary statement here saying, you know, over the past 15 years, I've taken a survey of all the various positions within managing a network, including management, operations, engineering, and compliance. Within that time frame, I have developed a wide array of skills and experience that would help to fulfill this unique technical opportunity. That's a very generic and a statement that, you know, says I've been in the industry for a while. I'm looking to become a technical leader. Please hire me. That's really what that says. Now what I'm looking to do is I'm looking to further my path into technical leadership. So actually, let's see if we can get like ChatGPT to write us something cool. What kind of an automation professional would I be if I didn't use automation in order to write my resume? That's my theory. All right, let's see what we got here. Results-driven and innovative leader with over 10 years of experience in automation and systems integration, proven track record of transforming operational processes, scaling technology solutions, and driving cross-functional teams in order to achieve corporate objectives. Adept at conceptualizing and implementing strategic automation initiatives that enhance efficiency, reduce costs, and improve quality. Seeking challenging director of automation role to leverage expertise in cutting-edge technology, project management, and team leadership. Perfect. And here's the thing, this doesn't have to be perfect. I just kind of want to get a better sense of everything, and then I'll fine tune it later. But I just want you all to kind of see how I take a resume that I had before and I just kind of update it for my next opportunity, right? So I haven't grabbed on to any more education. My current company does offer a reimbursement program, so I might go for that. I was considering, I'm not sure how I feel about getting like a MBA or anything like that these days. I do think though, in like director above, VP above, maybe it still matters. I'll have to talk to my people ops rep and just ask and be like, hey, what should I do? should I bother with the MBA, going for that? That's a lot more work, and like, will it net me a positive result trying to go for those leadership positions, or are those no longer required? I know as far as like engineering positions go, they've reduced a lot of the, they've reduced a lot of the higher education requirements, especially in the big tech companies. I don't know if that's still the same for leadership positions, so we'll have to think about that. I don't actually have any more certs. All of my Cisco ones expired. So now that I'm moving into a director, or I would like to move into a technical leadership position, my certifications here don't actually matter that much. It's more about like my work in developing teams and my work in developing the engineers that are around me. So I might move up actually the program management stuff. And then I'm not ready to just like delete all my engineering certs, because that's not cool. I might just say that they're expired. Expired is such a harsh term too, right? It's just like, I didn't want to keep them up every 2 years on things that I like was not doing. And I understand I could have gone DevNet and could have like progressed that. But if I'm moving into a leadership position, I don't want to be the person doing the thing anymore. I want to be directing the people that are doing the things. Although I do miss it a lot of the times. I recently did a training where we were just going through and doing like deployment with Ansible training with Nautobot, and I genuinely missed just having a singular focus and just like working on one thing for the day. That was really nice. So my experience, let's add an experience column. I like seasoned managing consultant. That's funny how it's like, oh, I'm seasoned with experience in delivering client focused solutions and driving business transformations across multiple industries, specialize in strategic transformation, process optimization, and team leadership, consistently achieving significant cost savings and revenue growth for multiple clients. None of that is false. So I'm just going to plop it in there. I'm using automation here to craft my resume. Perfect. And then we'll have to get some impact statements here. So usually what I do when I write an impact statement is like, I did X to achieve Y, resulting in Z. What have I done? Like, what is the most impactful thing that I've done as a managing consultant over the past year that might be important as far as me being promoted to a technical leadership position? So one of the things that I can think of is helped, or see, we want to like use a word that's like, man, I directed multiple clients. I kind of want to throw numbers in here, but I'm not sure. I'm not sure if it matters that I took like a couple $100,000 clients and turned them into multi-million-dollar clients. Like, that's one of the statements I want to say. I just don't know how to say it. I don't know how to say like a couple $100,000 to a couple million. Ooh, I like that. See, this is why I use ChatGPT now. It's like I give it the prompt of my intention, like what do I want to say, and then it gives me multiple examples. And I really like this first one. Elevated client engagements from initial low six-figure contracts to multi-million-dollar partnerships. I love that because it also describes like and it's true that the engagement started off transactional, but ended up being like more of a partnership and more of like a strategic focus, which is always good. And quite honestly, that's probably this right here is probably the thing I am most proud of that I've done within this space. I really enjoy just building engagements and building partnerships with people. It's a lot of fun just because like you get in, you're not initially sure what you're going to do. Y'all accomplish something together. Everybody cheers. And then you just kind of keep the ball rolling. So it's like you get an accomplishment, everybody cheers, that escalates, you expand the team a little bit, you get another accomplishment, everybody cheers, and it's like y'all are on the same team and just kind of growing together. It's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun. Now if I could just get the commission checks to go along with it, that'd be great. Honestly, recommendation would probably be to use just AI to help you craft these sentences. I remember having to spend hours and hours and hours trying to think of like the perfect phrasing of each sentence and crafting it so carefully. AI just does that for us now, so we can just say like, what is our intention? Like, what do we want to say on our resume? And then just pick the phrase that best matches, like, or as closely matches like what you want to do. Because another thing you don't want to do is you don't want to spend all day crafting a resume. You want to go out and get a job, right? So craft your resume, make it sound good, don't lie, make sure it's truthful, but then also get out there and actually start having conversations with people. And this also highlights kind of an important point, right? Is I was kind of stressed about the phrasing and how I wanted to craft my individualized sentences. And within this video, even talking to you and kind of just displaying like what are my intentions here, I just took that off the table and I'm like, okay, well, let me just use some plug-in sentences. I might use these. I might go back later and craft them or change them, but just being able to like take that barrier off and say, you know what? I don't have to come up with the phrasing in front of a camera that I'm recording. I'll just grab the prompts, use those, or the results, use those, and then I can go back later and like clean it up if I want to. So that's kind of another key component, is just like set yourself a time box of like, I'm going to do this resume thing within this hour, and then just do it. And it doesn't have to be perfect, that's for sure. So look below for the link to the template of, the resume itself, just kind of the working sheet. If you want to watch this video and then work through your own resume as you saw me update mine here, awesome. I just kind of showed you how I'm going to start crafting my resumes moving forward using automation, because quite honestly, like, I don't need to spend my brain power describing what I've done. That's something that was in the past. I want to spend more brain power on like thinking about what I want to do for the future. So use automation. It's your friend. Don't lie on your resume. Craft the sentences so that it like fits your situation, and then don't stress about it, because resume building is like one step in the process. There's a whole laundry list worth of things that you have to consider in order to like get and land that new job. So craft your resume, send it out there, but most importantly, follow up on your submissions. So reach out to the hiring manager, reach out to the recruiter, find out if the position is still viable. If not, hit up people and yeah, best of luck.